Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are taking part in the 5 Builders, 1 City collaboration. And we're currently staring at this warehouse, not because it's a particularly beautiful warehouse, though the view behind this is striking. I love all of the boats. I love the view of the mountain ranges. It's really a beautiful map and a beautiful setting. That said, I forgot to do something in the last episode. I forgot to set a specialization for this warehouse. So I built this bakery, and now it's producing pastries, and there's no place to put them. So, unique factory products, set this to empty, get them in here, get them out. And we should be in a good spot. I kind of want to take a look at our budget too. We are still in kind of a weird spot with our industry, but I think it's improving. It's getting better, and it will continue to get better. So see that we have this loan here. Why don't we just pay that off? We don't need that loan anymore. So, the purpose of today's episode is going to be to respond to this residential demand that we have. We need to design some residential neighborhoods and do so pronto. The other thing I noticed on the map is that there are some weird wonky things happening here with the map. We've got this pole right here. We've got 1 lane going into 3. And we've got some pillar issues. So I want to take care of that as well. And I think that's where we're going to start. So let's go, and we're going to take a look at our highways. And we are using the vanilla plus roads here. So we see some concrete with barrier. And I'll Control A, throw on some anarchy. Whoa! And totally mess that up. Because that is not what we want. Done something here. Oh, I see what I've done. There we go. So that was almost a bit of a mess. So we're also going to want a barrier on the 3. Is it possible to get it here? Good. And maybe a 2 lane with a barrier here. We'll go 2 lane here as well. Now these are a lot higher than they need to be, in my opinion. If you look at the heights here, there's just no need for that, but I'm not going to get overly crazy about it. There's no need. It doesn't benefit me. It doesn't benefit the city. So we're just going to accept a bit of strangeness. We are going to move this pillar. Much better. There's some weird stuff happening here. So I'm going to Control N and use Node Controller and see if there's any way that I could fix this, making it sloped. And I think this is just the height getting up a little bit too high, too quickly. Oh, that's better. That is much better. It's not perfect. I still wouldn't want to drive up this ramp, but it's much better. So maybe the thing to do there would be to just take this and make it a ground piece. Oh, nope. I see why they didn't do that. So I think this is one of those situations where I am letting perfect be the enemy of good. I don't love it. But I also like it more than what was there before. Ooh, that's even better. That's 100 times better. We're going to leave that there. But then you come over to this side and you see the same thing. More crazy wonkiness. So again, go back in the Node Controller, see what we can do here. Oh, it looks like my pillar slid. All right, we will accept that. This is going to drive me crazy, this pillar. Get out of there, we're good. We've got this set up, but it's still very steep. Kind of the same issue that we had in the last one, so we will take this down and make these a little bit more gentle. Sloped, make it sloped. It's a middle, we're good. So I think that this is substantially better than it was before, but still probably not perfect, but I'm not gonna let perfect be the enemy of good. Like I said, no reason to go absolutely ham trying to fix that. So thinking about residential development in the city right now, we have a few areas that in my mind would be prime for development. This area along the highway, though not super desirable from a kind of the land uses surrounding it. It would be highly developable. Developable. So at that point, you would expect to see it get developed at some point. So we are going to take that cue and actually use the development pressure in this area to develop this land. We're going to force ground on all of these. We're going to mirror that existing development pattern. But have a little deviation. We'll follow that highway right there. So I guess maybe to make up for the proximity to the highway, we can have some larger lots here and have some trees get filled in there. The other thing I could have done is I could have backed this road off the highway a bit. That would have been another solution. We didn't go that route. That's okay. Look at the backups in this area. That is not good. It's totally predictable based on the type of junction there, but it's still not good. Still don't love it. So the other thing we have going on here is we have a power line going straight into this residential area. I think it would be much more appropriate and suitable to have this in this industrial area. So we're going to move it. I tried not to cross the train tracks there. That would be desirable if at all possible. So there we go. Much better. And that frees up a couple of parcels to develop. So I think that would be very, very, very desirable. Fill in a little bit of land here. So these homes, it would be so important to make sure that we have some sort of buffer between the highway and these homes. So I would anticipate seeing a fairly significant buffer, and we're going to try to mimic that now after we give these people water, because that's a necessity too. And I'm going to loop these water systems. That's an important consideration, particularly if you wanted to be able to shut off water. Not necessary in the game, but in reality, you would absolutely want to have redundancy wherever you can. So we're going to do that too. All right, so we see some of these parcels filling in. Let's get some trees in here. So we'll have a row of trees here to kind of block the highway, kind of humanize things a little bit, make it feel a little bit better for the residents in this area. It's not perfect, but it's something. And then throughout the rest of the area, let's mix in some smaller trees. So I did inadvertently zone in this area. I gave zoning entitlements to these residential properties. I probably shouldn't have. They're situated on this collector, not the most desirable place. It's kind of an obstruction to downtown. We're going to take that away. So that will be a mulligan. I'm very sorry. We inappropriately zoned this property, and you are just a very quick developer. So go away, go away, go away. Probably not the most realistic moment there, but we'll take some liberties. It's a game. I kind of want to just fill in a little bit here. You'd imagine that wherever you could block the highway. I know we had those sound walls, but those still aren't attractive. It's not like anyone's looking at the sound walls thinking, I'm glad I have that. That's good enough for me. So one of the major problems I see here is that this road is assuming that everyone wants to turn right. So you see that there's an angle. It's an implied angle. The other thing I have that I'm noticing here is we have a lot of pedestrian activity that is using this same bridge to get across the road. So we could think about adding a pedestrian bridge. Maybe that would smooth things out here and then making this a highway segment to prevent some of that pedestrian activity. And it pains me to say to prevent pedestrian activity, but that is to say that pedestrian activity isn't necessarily a good thing everywhere. So the challenge is we've built a lot along the highway. So fairly simple to figure it out on that end. Over here, probably a little more challenging, but not insurmountable. Let's move these trees out of the way. Perfect. And we can be a little, do this a little bit gingerly. There's one little segment of highway here that doesn't have a sound wall. And it makes me wonder if that was a mistake or the game being weird. There we go. Interestingly, we've got this bridge. It's going up the wrong way. And that wasn't me. That predates me. So let's get that fixed. Well, that should help traffic flow. All right, so we've got that. Now I want to restrict pedestrian movements on this bridge. The easiest way that I could think of to do that would be to turn this into a national road. So you've still got this issue here where everyone is, there's an assumption that you're turning right. And we either need to formalize that and make it a thing or not. And I'm struggling a little bit thinking about the way I want to go. You kind of see that right now because of the development patterns. Everyone's already going that way. Interestingly, they're driving straight through this barrier right here. So that's fun. And I think the reason for that, so that should fix that. Yes. So we've got some more things happening here that are very weird. So I thought it might be nice to lower this, or to get this to be ground level, because then we can again have that free flow movement through here. The problem is now we've got some kind of craziness on these bridges. So we're gonna need to fix that up a little bit. Not a big deal though. So we'll use some node controller, get some node controller action up here. Just go through and make some things happen. Clean it up. And this is, I wouldn't call this beautiful, but I would call this hideable. So we are going to hide it because it's a challenge to look at. I'm not gonna lie. I can call a spade a spade. So I don't think that there's much that I can do to actually. Yeah, that is what it is right there. So we can try to make it a bit more beautiful, if that's possible. Ooh, look at this. It's a baby. That's awesome. That's so small. That is not what I was expecting. I guess I expected, I expected it to be a little bit smaller, but not that small. That's impressively small. That said, there are small trees. I think that's something you can lose track of in cities, is that not all trees are fully mature. If you had a new neighborhood, it would probably have a lot of small, little tiny trees. So we are going to increase the flammability in this area by adding lots and lots of landscaping. And look at what we see here. We're starting to see some activity, some pedestrianism. That is what I like to see. I wonder, can I use node controller on this to try to make this a little bit nicer? Oh, I can. I've never done that before. Never thought to do this, but that is great. And I can even adjust. So I'm not an engineer, so I'm not gonna tell you the appropriate slope length, but if there were an engineer in the house, they certainly could. That's great. I could tell you that here in the US, I would want you to look at ADA to make sure that all the requirements are being met. Got some weird stuff again happening here. It's okay. We're cleaning everything up. Come in and I'll play the cleanup crew. And I like that. I like that role. We're going to lower this. This is already a very expensive bridge. The last thing we want to do is make it even more expensive by having a span that's totally unreasonably high. It also makes the ramp unreasonably steep, and it's already very steep. Wow, this utilization. That's awesome. Wonderful. We are now at a point where we need to start thinking about our residential demand, and I kind of want to think about our farm again a little bit. We are at a point where workers are what is holding us back. And why would workers hold us back? Because we don't have any residential lands to develop. So this area that we were developing before, easy to go another block up, northeast, I guess northwest. Easy to go another block northwest. Then we need to start thinking about other creative development patterns in this area. We're going to need to follow the landscape a little bit better than we have been. Because up until now, we haven't really thought about the landscape. Ooh, and I've got anarchy on it. That is something special right there. Okay, so we can continue to develop this way. I think our water coverage is perfect there. Let's think more about developing this area. So again, we can go back here. So I think we're going to follow the highway. We'll leave enough space. So this halo would bring zoning directly up to the highway. Let's back it out 3 so that we can do something with landscaping in between these homes and the highway. Then we'll just connect up here. So we'll kind of still have a little grid, and I think we're going to use this kind of unique mid-block thing for some commercial. We'll follow the topography to make a connection here. We don't want to fight against the topography if at all possible. There's just no need or purpose for that. So it would be ideal to have another highway connection, I think. That's one of the things about this map, very highway heavy. So you either embrace that or you fight against it, and I'm trying to embrace it. So I'm not a very big fan of lots of highways, but I can deal. I can be a trooper. So I think along this road, because this is a 2-lane road, it's functioning as an arterial, or it will function as an arterial. Why don't we just really solidify that? We'll get some commercial uses here. People will be able to go, we'll call a mulligan on these, grab a bite to eat, or something like that in this area. Grab some groceries, get some gas. Can also help the passerbys in this particular area. I think it's going to be just a good location for a bit of commercial activity. And over here, we're going to have lots of residential and then a little neighborhood shopping district. And we'll again have a bit more residential. I'm not going to zone this side because we can still do a little bit more here. Another block, perhaps. It's getting real close to the highway there. So that's certainly a consideration. And I'm not going to make this connection here too close to the highway. We will make a pedestrian connection. Actually, let's back it out even further. We'll make a pedestrian connection there, but we don't want to do anything beyond that. In the very first place, I'm going to zone right here. I want to get some development occurring right here. We'll back that off even a bit further. We'll back it off there because we're going to have that pedestrian connection back here. Let's turn off our snap twos so we can make a nice clean connection. That is wonderful. I mean, as wonderful as these vanilla paths get anyway. So I'll take it. Oh, and look at this. That is what happens when you ignore your city services, which I've been doing an excellent job of. I think I built the police station, and beyond that, nothing. So we're going to need to take care of that before the entire city burns down, like some well-known cities that I've built. So I'm imagining you sitting there, just kind of grimacing, noticing that the power's not connected. And I just now noticed it, and I am grimacing, noticing that the power's not connected. And I'm sorry, this is terrible. Well, no, I like that. You just get it just close enough, and they go, "Oh, we'll take it. Well, good enough for us." Now we can kind of finish off this little neighborhood, get things filled in. Now we need lots of stuff here, so we're going to pause. We don't have any parks, we don't have any schools, we don't have a fire department, we are burning down. We're going to have criminals. It's going to be a lot of fun over here. A place that no one's going to want to live if they even want to right now. So I think it would be nice to be able to buffer some of these residential uses with some of these city services. So that's what we're going to do. The police department doesn't much care if there is a sweet view of the highway behind it. So that's certainly a place where you might expect to see those sorts of uses. The other thing is we have healthcare, we're death care. We're filling up. So we might want to think about that as well. You might actually not be totally obscene to see a rural cemetery out here. So maybe that's the way that we're going to handle it. No, we're not. I hate that. So out here we'll have a rural cemetery. Yeah, that'll be fine. And the last thing we need is think about schools. Elementary and high school availability is low. So we're going to have a high school over here. We'll have an elementary school. It's been a little, this is kind of a neglected area. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, separated from the rest of the residential uses. Why don't we have this over here? And we'll have a little bit fancier of a school. I also want to think about some city services while we're over here, like a library, which has not really been placed anywhere else in the city. All right, we're a big town, 6,000 residents. So we get some new things. We get a trade school, campus areas, more taxation, IT cluster, totally inappropriate right now. Leisure specialization, which is fun. A whole bunch of policies, offices, high density zoning generally. University fishing island. We get some toll booths, a whole bunch of transit options, a whole bunch of natural disasters content, which means that we are going to start seeing things burned down. And some of the new creator pack stuff. So that's really neat. So lots of good stuff. Very excited about leveling up. Fireworks. We're happy. We're going to pause this one more time because I want to get some parks in this neighborhood. Interestingly, I don't think we have a proper city park at this point. We just have, really, we got the fish market, we got this fishing pier, we got a unique building, the floating gardens, and then this park with trees. So that is insufficient in my mind. Let's get some more stuff over here. So over by the high school, we're gonna have a tennis court on one side and a basketball court on the other. And I'm gonna add a path through here to separate the two of these. That'll be a nice little connection right there for the neighborhood as well. I guess you could walk to the police department if that's what you wanted to do. So next, let's think about some other parks. So these two are parks, and that's great. But we also have an elementary school. So having a small playground or even a large playground near it would be nice. Maybe we go with the large playground. This is a nice school. The kids, this is a highway here. Not very desirable land. We could certainly have a playground there and put some trees behind it, and that would work. Not ideal to have the playground across the street from the school, but it could happen. It certainly could happen. So it's not going to happen. We're going to put anarchy on here. Yeah, I'm going to leave it. I think I was getting too crazy. I was going to get wild and do some things, but it's unnecessary, so we're going to avoid it. The other thing, as this neighborhood develops, and we'll get this rolling again, a dog park. Always a welcome amenity in most neighborhoods. So this is a well-served neighborhood. So it went from kind of a working class neighborhood to really a neighborhood with services that really kind of exceed what the rest of the city has. That said, look at this. We've got this park behind here. We could actually make this a nature reserve back here, which I think would be really neat. Maybe that's something we'll think about. So I would love to get a road to come back around here so we don't have all of these city services kind of just ending back here. So I think what I'm going to do is, we know that we're going to have a road out here. And I'm going to take this down. We currently have a collector. I want to do a one-lane collector up here. Kind of plan for that to become a less traveled road. And then we will send Just a regular old local street back here to frame this area a bit. This is going to be a very steep road. I like it. This is nice. Not a perfect connection, but good enough. Oh, it's not good enough. Oh, that's much better. Faith Street, I have faith that this is going to be a nice street. And we have an outlet now, which is important to me. So, with that, I kind of want to add a little bit of landscaping, then let this neighborhood fill in just a little bit. And we're going to add some landscaping now that we've got some zoning in this area. Let's add some landscaping. Okay, so now when we're looking down the street, instead of seeing the highway, you see what appears to be kind of an extension of that mountain with the trees. And that is what I was hoping to get. Hide those highways. We don't need highways for days. They're nice, but not that nice. So I do now notice that we need power going to this cemetery. Jeez, where are all these people walking? What are you doing? Wow, people are seriously walking all the way over to this neighborhood. I mean, I guess I get it. It's a pretty great neighborhood. But is it really that good? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm gonna leave some gaps here for roads in the future. Bit of a mulligan. I feel bad, but not bad enough to leave it. Wow, that is crazy. So let's take a look at that. That is wild. The number of people walking. That is crazy. And that shows that if we could create a shorter path, it would be really well utilized. We should try to figure that out. And that might be something for the next episode, where we make a connection. We are having power issues at this point, and that's probably where we're gonna wrap this up, is fixing our power issues, speed this up and get some money. I don't want to use, if I can avoid it, I'm going to use a different kind of power plant, clean things up a little bit. Solar updraft or geothermal, I think, is going to be the way to go. In fact, let's just take out a loan and get what we want. So I'll place that solar updraft ad. It looks terrible there. Well, it doesn't have to be beautiful. It is a very industrial city, so that's okay. So we have all of these here, and there's really no purpose for these. I think I'm going to turn them off for now. I don't think we need all of this power anymore. We don't benefit from the extra production. It's not like we're seeing power being exported or something. So we've got our updraft power. It's cleaner. So why wouldn't we take advantage of that? So the last thing I want to do is throw some residences along this road to make a power connection. That's what I was kind of on my way to doing. So we'll give people a reason to be walking on this road. We've already got a power line underneath there, so all we need now is development. And interestingly, at this point, we're finally meeting our residential demand. We're starting to see demand for other types of development, finally. Still not industrial, which I find endlessly fascinating at this point, because we've had so much commercial and residential. But I guess Zardes did put a fair amount of industrial along the cargo port area, so that does make some sense. So the other thing that we need is some water, and that's kind of an emerging issue. So why don't we place a water tower over here by our new neighborhood? They are causing some of this demand. might as well embrace meeting it over here. So that's good. That's nice. I like this little neighborhood over here. I think it's going to be a nice place to live for anyone who lives over here. And I think it meets the needs of the city. One thing I want to do before we end this is kind of clean this ridge up. It's a little messy. Much better. You see that we have some artifacts right here. We could probably, yeah, I've got to. I can't let that be. But I think we have an acceptable amount of artifacts. So I think we're gonna leave that here. We've had a lot happen in this episode, but not this little bit of residential development I was hoping to have spring up along this, but we're in a good spot. Our farm still doing good. We've almost got the employees that we need. Let's make it an even more desirable job by having that improved worker supervision. I think we're in a good spot. I think we're in a real good spot. We need to increase the size of this if we want to keep leveling that up. But we've got employees now. They just need places to shop. All right, we're going to leave it here. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. Please consider subscribing to all of the creators in this series. They are all doing great things. A lot of really spectacular creators. I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. You can see their names here. They help me create this content, and their support means the world to me. And I want to thank you for joining me. And I hope to see you in my next episode, my final one of this round. I'm going to leave you with a brief city tour, and that will start right now.